Hello, welcome back to Only Pistols. Today we're having a look at a Walther LP3 Match. This is a 177 single shot, single stroke pneumatic target pistol. Walther made these from 1973 through to 1985. Let's start by looking at the markings. On this side, Walther LP Model 3, Carl Walther Ulm for the production site. And on this side, serial number and the German low pressure marking. The rear sight is the same unit you got on the OSP GSP cartridge pistols, and it's marked for windage and elevation. You also get an interchangeable rear sight leaf. If I can focus on it, there you go. So those just popped off, and you could replace them with different widths, different notch widths to give you a better sight picture depending on light. Foresight is again is one-piece cast aluminium block. I haven't found these in different widths, so I think that's pretty much what you got. The muzzle is recessed crown on a heavy steel barrel, and the construction generally, the frame is cast aluminium with a crackle finish paint. The barrel is two parts, so you've got this part here which is alloy, cast alloy, and the same profile as the LP2 and earlier LP3s, which has just only been cut off to allow in this heavier weight barrel, steel barrel, and that extends back through the casting to the breech. The compression lever is cast again, and there's a steel cylinder that runs up through the grip, which is the air compression cylinder, and that's held in place by these two screws at the top. The grip is a two-piece hardwood grip with that quite distinctively large palm shelf. The trigger is adjustable for reach and let-off point, and has an over travel stop, and adjusted for weight from inside. So to load it, single stroke pneumatic, so you've got a piston, it's basically a bicycle pump. So by opening this lever, that pulls the piston down, which allows air in, and it also pulls the hammer down against its spring and sets the sear. So with that set, you now just close the lever back round. More difficult to do on camera than in actual fact. And that's now a compressed charge of air between the top of the piston and the valve. So to open it, to put a pellet in, push that lever, and that just pulls that catch back. So then drop a pellet in, close it up, take up the first stage, and it fires. Lovely trigger, and as a single stroke pneumatic, no recoil. And because you've already done the effort of loading it, nothing much going on when you pull the trigger, just a release of air. So adjusting the trigger for weight, as I said, quite a clever little system here. So what you've got is a spring here, and that's the trigger weight from the spring, and that spring wraps around the back of this screw, and by adjusting the screw it moves the spring up and down, and that's what varies the weight of the trigger. So it's very easy to set and very reliable. While we've got it open, we'll have a look. So here is the face of the breech, which is also the valve, held in place by that screw there. And so when you undo that, that whole valve comes out. And the valve was one of the really big changes in the Model 2 to the Model 3. So originally, what you had was the compression cylinder is the same on the 2 as the 3. The hammer is the same. What you had originally was a poppet valve, a steel poppet valve, so the air was compressed against a little valve with O-rings. The hammer would come up, it would knock that valve open, release the air. The Model 3, what you have is the air is compressed the same, but it's held behind a ball bearing seal in that removable valve set we saw just now. Hammer still acts the same, but it comes up and it knocks what looks like a set of dumbbells up, and those force the ball bearing back and release the air. In theory, it was a better mousetrap. It was meant to have a faster lock time. what it really did was just add a lot of complication to the valve. And if these haven't been resealed by the time you get them now, they won't be working. There was a nylon piece in there that just basically turns to glue, and that was what held the spring in place and the ball bearing in place. So they can be resealed, but you are into making a lot of the bits yourself, because there's only some of them that are actually held as stock by anybody. That said, it's worth doing. Otherwise, what have you got? Well, the grip's quite large. The grip's also quite vertical, and that's probably more reminiscent of a cartridge pistol, so having a magazine up through it. So it would have been more like using one of the OSP GSPs for the angle on some of the earlier ones. By this stage, a lot of target pistols, particularly air pistols, they've got a lot more incline on the grip, so you're using a more dropped wrist hold, which is easier for air pistols where you're not having to kind of manage any recoil. The grip's also quite large, and it has to be because it's wrapped around the compression cylinder, and if we can get it to focus on it, as you can see there, that silver bit is the compression cylinder, and you can see there's not a lot of wood around it. So if you need to carve this to make it fit you, just be careful, because you've not got a lot of wood there to carve. It's quite a heavy pistol, but the weight is in your hand, so that's where the weight is. Even with the steel barrel being at this heavier weight barrel being added, the weight is still quite in your hand. So when you're shooting it, if you get a wobble, probably the easiest thing is to abandon the shot, put it down and start the cycle again. Power wise, 400 feet per second or thereabouts, so more than capable of knocking holes in bits of paper. 10 meter target pistol, so it's more than capable of putting all the shots through the 10 ring. I'm not quite so capable. I don't do enough practice with it to be good enough, but it's not bad. It's very usable. So the main difference otherwise than the barrel with the Match against the LP3, it's probably easiest to show you. So with an LP3, it's quite tall, so you've got quite a tall sight picture there, a lot of the frame. With the LP3 Match, because they've got this cutaway, you've got a much lower sight picture, and it's a lot more pointable. It also puts your trigger finger in a better relationship to the trigger, or certainly for me. But it did also then lead to this very distinctive large palm shelf, because the rest of the action from here down is exactly the same as Model 2, Model 3s. So that's needed to take up the slack. So there you go. LP Model 3 Match. A lovely pistol to shoot. The trigger's lovely. It's a single stroke pneumatic, so there's no recoil. The effort to cock it, it's not the worst, it's not the best. There's a technique to it. Once you've got the technique, it's quite easy to do, and just keep your fingers out of the way as it closes. If you can get one, do. They're lovely to shoot. If you can have a go on one, do. They're lovely to shoot. It's Walther, so the quality of the engineering is outstanding. Like I said, they've been making these since 1973. This is still as good as the day it was made, and a lovely thing. So there you go, Walther LP Model 3 Match. If you've liked this, then please like, share, subscribe, click on it to say you've liked it, all the usual YouTubey stuff. And otherwise, I'll see you again soon with another pistol. Thanks very much.